So as you've seen, the title of this video is Car Salesmen Are Fucking Burnt Out. Now, what I've seen in this industry is that the reason why most people quit is because they get burnt out. At the beginning, they're very excited. They get their first deal, and now all of a sudden they think they can just take over the world. And now they think it's going to be so easy, because usually that first deal that you get, a lot of times I've seen it happens really easily. You might get lucky. You might get what they call a laydown. You might get a customer that takes sympathy on you because they know it's your first time selling a car. But then sometimes what happens, now all of a sudden, it takes longer to sell your next one. It takes longer to sell your next one. But you're so excited. You're so excited about the opportunity that you work every day. You know, you have this momentum. You have this passion. But what happens now is that you end up getting burnt out. So why do people burn out? Why is it? What's the difference between the athletes like Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, who can go to work every fucking day and give it their all? But then there's other people that just can't last. Because in the car business, it's not about what you do once, but what you do repeatedly over and over and over again. See, in the car business, the biggest difference that I've seen between guys who make 10 grand, who make 20 grand, and the people who make 5 grand is the consistency. They do the same mundane things over and over and over again. But the other thing is the one way that I think that you can avoid burnout is by just having a set of written goals. See, what I did when I first started out in car sales, luckily I had picked up a book that was called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And this had actually been recommended by the VP who's running the company to me. Before that, I had never read books. Before that, I never wanted to read books. I didn't even know there were personal development books that you could read. It had never even crossed my radar. But when I picked up that book, the first thing that I started doing was I started writing down my goals every single day. And I wrote down my goals every single day in the present tense. So I remember one of the first goals that I wrote down, it was my dream income, which was $100,000 a year, which today is probably nothing, but back then it was a lot to me because I was broke at that time. So I wrote it down as if I was already making $100,000 a year. I said, I'm currently making $100,000 a year. My wife could never be more proud of me. We live in a home that we always dreamt of, and we never have to check our bank account. My wife is able to buy things that she's always wanted to buy. And for me, that makes me proud. That was one of the goals. You might call that an affirmation, but that's how I wrote it down. And that lit me on fire every fucking day before I went to work. You think I was tired after I read that? You think I had some sort of doubts in my mind after I read that? See, with your goal, there has to be some sort of emotion. Sometimes people just write down goals. But saying I make a $10,000 income is not enough. You need to write down your goal and then attach emotion behind it. When I would read that every fucking day, I would get so fired up. I would get so excited. I want to take over the world. And that's why I was so aggressive on taking leads, on taking ups. Just that one simple habit set me on a trajectory for the rest of my life where my career changed, my income changed, and my whole life changed, to be honest. So the reason why car salesmen are burnt out, because they don't know why they're doing it. They have no goals written down. You want to work 30 days in a row? You want to work 45 days in a row? You want to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month? You got to remind yourself of why you're going to put yourself through this shit. Because at the end of the day, if you look at your circle and your friends and your family, how many people around you are making that $10,000, $15,000 income a month? Probably not that many. But if you want to be so audacious to try and make that sort of income, it's going to take a lot more than you just showing up to work. You're going to need to have strong reasons. You're going to need to remind yourself every day why you're putting yourself through this shit. But when you do, when you remind yourself of your goal, of your future, and you attach a reason to it, it'll light you on fire, and work will never feel like work. It'll feel like play, and your whole life is going to change. This is the number one reason why I found that car salesmen are burnt out. But if you do this one thing, I guarantee you, burnout will never happen.